job every day is to try to kick somebody's ass. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is caught! Left center! Reds win! And this ball is launched. High and very deep to right, long gone. It's second of the night. Ellie De La Cruz.
Short lead for Pena. Larkin draws it. Do you believe this? That's going to be gone! Back to back! Walk-off home runs! How about this? He's back! He's back! He's back!
And a swing and a drive. Deep left field. This one belongs to the Reds.
Swung on and hit
Deep to left field. That ball is going to be gone. Home run. And the Reds put it 5-4.
Goes the second one. Around the first. Got a double play. And the Reds sweep the Cubs. Breaking ball. Hit high. Hit deep. Way back there. And gone. Into the second deck and left. Christian Encarnacion Strand walks it off. Karcher does it in his major league debut. He gets the final 3 outs, and the Reds get an extra inning win. A thriller 5-4.
Swung on. Fly ball. Hit the deep right field. That ball is going to be gone. A grand slam home run by Mike Cameron.
2 outs, 2 on. Reds down by 1. Larkin down the line. It's a winning. It's a winning. Here comes Tucker. Here comes Steins. Larkin's won the game. Barry Larkin gets mobbed. Look at this scene. It's synergy.
The stretch, the pause, and the pitch. And a line drive, base hit left center field. A single for Aaron Boone. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won 8 in a row.
Kobayashi with a long look turns it loose, and Dunn hits it to deep right. It's all over. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won their 5th game in a row. They've defeated the Cleveland Indians on an Adam Dunn 3-run home run, 4-2. In on the corners at first and third. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Royce Ring pitching, no bunt. Ground ball by the third baseman into left field. Dave Bruce rounds third. And this one belongs to the Reds.
That's hit pretty good. Guess what? He doesn't need speed. That's gone. He's the king of the Queen City tonight.
With 1 out here in the 11th inning, you sure got to go now.
One on, pull down the left field line. That ball is going to get the winning run in. Here comes Dave Bruce rounding third, heading toward the plate. And this one belongs to the Reds.
Huge situation for Votto. Why you pay him the big bucks to deliver the goods with 2 outs in the 9th inning? Can he do it? In the gap right center field, and Votto delivers the goods.
Hit deep center field. Hank Hill going back at the warning track. Oh, he gets one. It's gone. Joey Votto is delivered.
Talk about playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.
Well, I hope everyone could hear that. I think, Sam, it's kind of put a wrap on the season, if you will, regarding the playoff hunt, because, we talked a little before the show, and it seems like the Reds have been given every opportunity to get back in this thing, but it seems like it may not be in the cards this year for our Red Legs, but nevertheless, we have a few more games to play. I think you and I have 4 more games to showcase and talk about before the season's over. So let's go ahead and get it started. Last night, obviously a frustrating loss. Any initial thoughts about last night before we kind of get started on today?
I mean, it's just the same story week after week. It seems ever since that probably the Diamondback series at the start of the month, vibes are low after that series. Then you pick up the final game in that series. Then you get swept by the Dodgers. Vibes are low again. Then you kind of bring it back. The Mets have really done everything possible for us to stay in it, and we've been just 10 times worse than them. There's nothing really new. At a certain point, I think you just have the team isn't good enough, and I'm definitely at that point to where, we've stayed in it long enough, but to a certain point, I've just accepted that this team is not good enough offensively to be a playoff team. They stayed in it for longer than, I might have thought, but the pitching can only take you so far, and with pitching not being healthy second half, you've just really seen the fall off. So it's kind of just something that was bound to happen, and they maybe took it longer than you might expect, but it eventually happens. So,
and I think last night was a pretty good microcosm of the season. You score 3 runs.
Yeah.
Obviously, Friedel with the leadoff homer. I know Hayes had a home run. Ellie had an RBI, but you score 3 runs. I mean, let's be honest. We really need to score at least 4 to really be in these games. And they pull Lodolo out for whatever reason. I'm not going to question that, really. I mean, what good does it do me? Then I would more understand it, though, if you had a bullpen. The Reds really don't have a bullpen. And, I've enjoyed Brent Suter. I would be pro Brent Suter bobblehead night in 2026. I'd be pro getting a Brent Suter autograph at Reds Fest coming up this January. But when you're in a playoff race, against the lineup that the Padres can run out there, you're bound to happen what happened last night. So, and
Barlow before him, not good at all either.
Yes. Yeah. And
he gets the earned runs, but Suter as high leverage as you can get for the 6th inning. It's not ideal to have him out there, and I completely agree with you on that point. And on the Lodolo thing, again, I don't know the reasons why it was fatigue, I think is what they said after the game. And he's coming off, not starting a lot. You get scratched with the sickness, but you said last night was a kind of a microcosm of the whole season, and the whole Lodolo thing probably is too, because a guy who, gets scratched for sickness, blister issues, it's just all these things that I'm not going to blame him for it, but you'd like to kind of fight through those things, especially the fatigue stuff, because you're in the final stretch of the season. If you, tweak something or have a little lower energy, I think you just got to fight through it. And getting pulled after 79, not ideal, but it's not my decision.
When you really look at it too, though, like if I'm looking at the next, is it 2 weeks, 3 weeks? I don't even know, the season. I want Lodolo to be able to continue, and I want Andrew Abbott to be able to pitch the whole year.
Yeah.
I don't want Burns to take a spot. I'd rather have Burns just in the bullpen, just hanging out, doing his thing, learning from other guys, whatever. I want these guys to be able to finish the season, and I know I believe Hunter Green's talked about in the past is, hey, I was able to finish the season instead of just being on the shelf on the IL for the rest of the year to end it. So those are big things, because and I think you hate to hear it, you hate to just talk about it. But I think the Reds front office has kind of already decided that there probably wasn't a huge chance. But I will say this, personally, I don't think that it was a perfect team by any means. And I guess there's still a chance. As I'm looking down right now on my phone, the Phillies are beating the Mets 4-1. And you just go with the Giants, and things could happen, right? Up and down, you sweep and you can move right up in there. But with that said, I think that the players, some of the onus is on the players, because there's some of these games, not going to zero in on one game, but I will Friday against the Mets.
Yeah, horrible.
Francona and Krall can only do so much when you load the bases with no outs.
Yeah.
So there was more
with your 2-3-4 up. With 2-3-4, couldn't get any more ideal.
Yeah, well, at least the 2. The 3's been in a slump, though. He's turned it around lately.
But on paper, if you have bases loaded 2-3-4, that's where you want to be. You want to get at least one in.
You would think so.
Strikeout, ground out doesn't do it. But.
Yeah, I mean, this team has a tons of warts. We already mentioned it. The bullpen from last night kind of faltering, and they didn't have much room of air because the offense isn't hitting consistently as they should. So let's run through this lineup. A couple big changes tonight, or things. We always joke, Sam, about, well, we're not going to argue about the lineup because it's been the same all year. Tonight, a couple changes.
Yeah. TJ Friel leadoff, not a change there. You saw the leadoff home run last night, but then here in the 2-hole, Noelvi Marte is getting the day off, and we're seeing Sal Stewart in the 2-hole playing first base. Ellie De La Cruz here at shortstop, batting third. Austin Hayes Gavin Lux, Tyler Stevenson catching.
Mhm.
He's come back here the last week or so, catching. And then Will Benson back in the lineup for the first time in
Wait, who is
5
that?
years. Will Benson's playing
Will
right
Benson.
field.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of fans have been demanding for this, and it seems like, the game after the Reds kind of solidify that they're out of it. They decide to start him here and right. So a little bit confusing there, but Key Brian Hayes at third, and then Matt McClain, who's had a little bit of a good stretch here lately. Batting ninth, playing second base, and then Zach Littell on the bump. But there's 1 through 9 for you.
Absolutely. And obviously call out to Benson and Stewart being in the lineup tonight. But I want to touch on a couple guys who I'm excited to have, going forward. Matt McClain, and I think a lot of people, including myself, we were really down in the dumps with McClain throughout the year. That shoulder was probably in a worse spot, than what everyone thought or whatever. And you've seen it across the league, where it can take some time. And he's young and he can get through it. And it seems like he has. So, as a, good old Reds fan would say, there's always next year. But 2026 is lining up for him to, have a big year, with Sal, with Marte, with Ellie in the lineup for sure. I mean, quite honestly, Sam, and I hate to, we have 3 more shows. I hate to keep pointing to next year, but, I think Marte, Ellie, Stewart, McClain, Stevenson, and Key Brian Hayes are the only 4 sure's. I'm not pro Stevenson, but honestly, I don't think you have a much better option.
Yeah, for me, I was thinking about this the other day too. It's just the whole infield, first, second, third, short for me, with Stewart at first probably, and then McClain, Ellie, and Hayes, because you got that long-term contract with Hayes and his defense there. I think you got to play him at third every day. So
no, 100%.
But yeah, that's probably what I have. And you were mentioning McClain, and I'm a huge fan of the whole last 7, last 15, last 30 game on the MLB website. I abuse that all the time. Every week it seems like I mention that. But McClain's last 30, which is a pretty decent sample size.
Yeah, absolutely.
277 with a 762 OPS, which compared to what he'd been doing, I mean, he was hovering around low 600, high 500 OPS for.
I'll take it. You say 277 batting average. I know I'm an old school guy using batting average, but yeah, I'll take that any day of the week in the 2025, 2026 MLB. I see a note here, and I'm going to believe him because he's always here in the chat, and a shout out to WTI Trader there. He noticed an adjustment for Matt McClain. His batting stance to be closer to the plate, and has worked out. Yeah, I think it must have been a national guy, because I don't think Barry would say it, but I remember hearing someone say, "Hey, Matt McClain, they just keep pitching him outside because he just can't reach the ball."
I think that might have been Barry, actually.
Was it Barry?
I was thinking about that on the broadcast. I feel like someone mentioned that, and it might not have been, but I remember someone saying he'd been too far away and he just could not reach the outside slider, which is what.
Now, Sam, do you wonder who do you think mentioned that to McClain? Do you have any idea? Do you think it was Barry, or do you think it was a guy named Chris Valleca?
That's a curse word on here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's I hate that argument. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
So, anyway, pre-show, Sam and I were talking about how frustrating this year's been, just the lineup, and just thinking that, hey, maybe the lineup is not great, right? How many runs have the Reds scored? So we did some research pregame or pre-show, a little pre-show research. Sam and I were on an hour before to get started on this.
2 hours.
2 hours. That's right. It was 2 hours. Yeah. To kind of get, see what we're up against. So we pulled up the old Baseball Reference, and just to see how far off the Reds offense is comparison to years past. We keep hearing Great American Ballpark, utilize your park, so on and so forth. So for everyone who's listening and watching, let's go through some of the past years of Reds lore going back 15 years. We're not going to list all 15, but that's the last one here. So this year the Reds are on or have scored 650 runs so far. Obviously, about 18 games to go. We'll hopefully add to that and get over that. I'm sure they'll score about more than 1 run a game.
Yeah,
potentially. So you're looking at maybe two runs a game. So you're looking at another, 40 runs maybe. So around that 690 mark is what they'll end up. Well, last year they scored 699. 2023, if we remember the crazy offense with Ellie and McLean and all the young guys coming up, almost taking us to the promised land in 2023, 783 runs. Skip 2022, the year of 100 losses. We'll jump to the year of Nick Castellanos and Jesse Winker. The Reds scored 786 runs. Division championship year in 2012, 669 runs. So the Reds are on pace this year. And I'm not sure if it's mathematical pace, but I'm going to say on pace to almost outscore the division champion 2012 Reds. That blows my mind.
Yeah.
But in 2010, when they won the Central Division, they scored a whopping 790 runs, which is, about 100, will probably end up being about 100 more runs than this year's Reds, which is just, to me, a little crazy. So I was suspecting it'd be a whole lot less this year than it had been. Obviously, that Easter Sunday, 25 runs or 24 runs for the Orioles.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, sticks out. And then I know there's been a few others. But Sam, any thoughts on that? What'd you think of me just, reading that out? And Chad, if you have any thoughts, drop it in and let us know what you think.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to that. I think it's just, years are different where average is, 10 points lower on average than other years. And, some years it seems like they juice the balls, so it goes crazy. But
well, and that would have been, I'm not sure if 2021. I think 2017 was that year, maybe 2018, which I might have to pull those numbers and see.
Yeah, and the division winner being low, I mean, that's just, I don't know if I have anything to that. There's teams that have horrible pitching and teams that have great pitching, and it doesn't really, you can have a little bit wider of a range of how many runs you score, but it definitely does surprise me this year. I would have said, 100 lower than a division winner team this year, because with the pitching we have now and the fact that we're still around 500, you would think we scored like 400 runs right now. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely interesting, the numbers to it, but you never know. I would have to see other teams also, because there might be something to that. But yeah.
No, it's the juice ball. And the reason I remember it 2017 being the juice ball era is our friend Scooter Jeanette is when he hit the four. Yeah. That was the 4 home run game. The Reds scored 753 runs that year.
Jeez.
So, that's right on pace there with that 2010 team and just a whole lot worse pitching there in 2017.
Yeah.
I wish they would bring back a juice ball. I don't know what the difference is. I personally believe that there is some sort of like conspiracy there of they pick and choose where the certain balls go and they bring them in and change them out. And I'm not saying that like the Yankees or Dodgers are favored. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that when possibly, a catcher in Seattle needs some help to get over a certain record, or a right fielder in New York, there might be some special balls delivered to those locations. Maybe.
I had thought they would do that for the Speedway game. I was just expecting that.
You know what? That's Sam. That's perfect. I don't know why they didn't. That was the most boring game.
Because I think a couple years ago for the Field of Dreams, the White Sox Yankees won.
Yes.
I think people were saying those were juiced because that Tim Anderson walk off. It seemed like he hit that like 21 degrees coming off like 97 off the bat. So I think there was some speculation there that they probably do that for those games. But yeah. I wish they could at least do it for the Reds, because playing in a small ballpark and still not hitting home runs out.
Well, and that's my biggest complaint this year. And there's some of that has to do with the front office for me, and
Yeah.
others is to me the players as well. But the Reds, Ellie still hasn't hit another home run, so the leader is still 19 home runs. In Great American Ballpark is just unexcusable.
Yeah.
And
No one's gonna
again,
get
I
more
think
than-
that's player, and I think that's front office. I don't think that you can say it's one or the other. So
Yeah, and without Ellie's been hitting it, it's not even crazy to think he won't end with another one, and no one gets to 20, which is very concerning.
it would be
You-
pretty wild. So
You'd like to have 2 or 3 at least in the 20s. So
yes, and I think when we talk about just the overall season, we talk about this game too, because I mean, and all jokes aside, I'm the one who put the title up. Playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. Jim Moore from the Colts. If no one got the reference, if I'm guarding my heart a little bit, but there's still a shot. It's just, what is it? And obviously they have to win tonight, and just keep piling the wins where they can. One shout I do want to have for a guy here for tonight, who I don't think will be with the Reds next year. Actually, I would bet a large sum of money if I was still a betting man, which I am not. Zach Littell, I think, has been a great acquisition. And I think he's had a couple clunkers. The one in Arizona comes to mind. Though looking at that, I he just isn't a good fit for that ballpark with the dry air. That was the kind of acquisition I was hoping the Reds would do. Didn't give up a ton, and got some good innings out of a veteran starter when you knew you needed them. Now, would I have preferred them go get a bullpen help and maybe keep Martinez in the starting rotation? Maybe. But I'm not in the war room of the trade. So
yeah.
Any other thoughts tonight about tonight's game, Sam? I know.
Well, you just mentioned Littell, and with the whole deadline acquisitions, with how controversial or not agreed upon they kind of all somewhat hit. So I don't think
I think they all have hit. I don't think somewhat. They've all done their job.
Which is also surprising how the collapse has happened. But yeah, Littell, he's had a couple not blow-ups, but maybe, his last time out, you mentioned Arizona, his last time out also against Toronto, he gave up 4 home runs, which is his thing. The home run ball, especially in Great American. But
wait, the other team can hit home runs in Great American Ballpark?
They are allowed, yes.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
Yeah. It seems like most of them usually take advantage of that. But 4 innings pitched, or 4 and a third, 7 hits, 5 earned runs against a really explosive Toronto lineup who knows how to hit home runs. So, but yeah, his time as a Red, 4.78 ERA, with some inflated starts because only 8 starts, so that's going to be inflated a bit. But the home run balls has been what has given him issues.
Yep.
I believe he still leads the league, which he came in leading the league. But yeah, I'm not going to complain about any of the deadline acquisitions because if you have Littell as your 4th or 5th guy, it's pretty good. And the pitching has been amazing all year. It's just the 9 guys listed above Littell here on the graphic that have not produced enough, but we shall see. And it'll be tough tonight for them because we're going against Michael King, who we haven't even mentioned, who is on the bump for the Padres, making his first start, I think, since May, because he had an outing in August where he came back for just 2 innings. I'm not really
okay.
I don't know what happened there, but started off the season up until May, then didn't pitch until that 2-inning stint against the Red
Sox. He had a
Sox.
knee injury. Michael King, I believe they returned for Juan Soto.
Yep.
Came from the Yankees, and nice bringing that in so we can actually a pregame for tonight's show instead of just talking about the year as a whole. But the Reds are, last night was the game. Darvish is kind of washed at this point, in my opinion. At least he's not what he used to be. King tonight, Pivetta tomorrow. Yikes.
Yeah. And you do have Abbott tomorrow, which helps, but
well,
And he's really. You mentioned how you wanted to see him kind of finish the year strong. He's already started to kind of
well,
go on
exactly.
the decline
And
a
that's
little bit.
when we talked about Lodolo earlier. I brought up Abbott, and that's what I want to see from these guys. Right, continue to fight, continue to play well in the season on a high note. So whether it's into the playoffs, which I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's still mathematically possible, or into next year. That's what we're looking for. Continue on a high note. Sam, we've kind of rambled on for 25 minutes here. Anything to wrap up tonight's game? Anything you're looking for tonight? I know both you and I are kind of like, all right, let's just talk more fun stuff outside of the game tonight because it's so late and it's like does it even matter?
Yeah, the preparation's been harder and harder as we kind of get towards the end because of how the Reds have been playing. But I had one more thing kind of with the lineup that we didn't touch on, and I've talked about it the past couple weeks too, and it's just been the same storyline. But I'll set the over-under at 3.5. Will it be over or under how many times we see Andujar start to end the year?
Oh, I think he's done.
Because with falling back to 4 games back and the fact that he wasn't even playing before, I don't really know what's the deal with Andujar because it's been a while since. I mean,
well, I would say that if he was done, to me they would IL him and bring up somebody.
Yeah.
Here's my question, and this is the stupidest thing, but I think AAA ends this weekend, or should be. I think they have a couple weeks. MLB does. I think you bring up a CES Reese Hines as his replacement, but they're like, hey, we'll let them figure it out. What they're doing is they're rocking with 13 guys right now instead of 14.
So they're waiting for the move.
They have a full roster, and I don't know if they have a 40-man spot either. So they'd have to release him. Who knows what's going on? To me, again, small potatoes, but I don't think he's playing the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I mean Tito had to go with Benson tonight over Andujar, which I think him not starting since August 1st or whatever. I think that proves to you that Andujar he's probably not able to go.
Well, who would play right field though? You'd have to put Marte out there, and it seems like they're giving Marte a break. So.
They're giving him the day off. So
yeah, so it would have to be him
going under on that then.
Espinal,
yeah, known right fielder, first baseman, power guy. Speaking of the power, how many home runs for Espinal?
0. So
he's got to get one in.
I doubt it. I want to shout out. We had a chat earlier and I lost it. Someone I haven't seen before, Victor Van Horn. I'm just going to go off what he says here, Sam. He says that the Brewers are on pace for 822 runs. That's like, I don't want to, everyone can look it up, Baseball Reference, fact check me. But when I did look this up, I was checking some, big time Red seasons. That's more than like the Big Red Machine. Like not even a joke. That's right in line with what they were scoring back in the 70s, which is just wild to me. If they're really on pace for 822, I mean, that is just a wild number. Hopefully the Reds can figure that part out. Speaking of the Brewers, my arch nemesis, the Reds stole a pitching coach from them named Derek Johnson. That's turned out pretty well. Maybe the Reds need to figure out where their director of hitting. Yeah, they can figure that out from the Brewers as well. So before we wrap up here, we talked more about tonight's game and just the series and some of the players more than I expected. But as we mentioned earlier, Sam and I have 4 more shows left, or 3 more after tonight. Next week will be on Monday and Tuesday. And then that final Tuesday of the year will be on. And I'm sure you may see some of us from time to time, but just want to thanks to everyone for watching this year. It's been a fun time doing this and just, talking Reds baseball. But what we want to do, kind of wrapping up our shows on Tuesdays, is, hey, let's talk about just some fun stuff of what just off the beaten path, if you will, Reds topics. So tonight, one of the thing I want to talk about, and we'll give the chat a few minutes to put some comments in if you guys want. But one of my favorite things about the Reds and, just in general is I am a sucker for a promotional item. Yes, I'm a bobblehead collector. I love getting some of the free stuff at the game, just some of the fun stuff. So, Sam, you go first. What's your favorite promotional Reds item that's been given away at the stadium? Or we don't have to do given away at the stadium, but it's like, hey, this is what I get every time I'm there. Or, something to commemorate the game, something like that. What's your top couple items? And we'll read some from the chat if we get some.
Yeah, I'm about a 2-hour drive, so I only get to 3 or 4 games a year. But how about CES Bobble Night the other night?
Well, that was a fan vote.
Yeah.
Keep in mind the Reds, the Reds allowed it to be, him be a choice, but the fans voted for CES.
Yeah, but man, I wish I could have got my hands on one of those. That's the one I feel most distraught for missing.
Oh, wow, okay.
I like the captain hats they've done in the past. Those are pretty cool.
The Yacht Rock Nights.
The Yacht Rock, but CES Bobble, I think, has to take the crown for me. It's just poetic. I haven't seen him in months. I know the fan vote was a while ago, which is why that happened, but that's just a funny thing to happen.
Absolutely hilarious.
I mean, when did he get demoted? June?
It's been a minute.
I feel like one of his last
games.
I mean, I feel like he had that grand slam in Boston, and that felt like 3 years ago, but I don't think it was crazy. Yeah. I don't think it was that far after that he got demoted. And lo and behold, we get the September Bobble Night. But
it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It also reminds me of some of these bobbleheads the Reds have done. Looking at some of the more recent ones, Alexis Diaz bobblehead night, I'm not sure what's worse, CES bobblehead night or CES. Jake Fraley has a bobblehead. My personal favorites, though, when it comes to weird, why do they have a Reds bobblehead? Mike Moustakas has a bobblehead.
Oh, God.
Dump. Shogo Akiyama has a bobblehead.
Oh, that's my guy.
But the most rando Red bobblehead is Scott Schebler. The fact that Scott Schebler has a bobblehead, which I believe was a fan vote, is just mind-blowing when you look at the history of the Reds and the last 10, 15 years.
And Sal Stewart taking the 43 from him.
Yeah, that's a big question. Did Sal and the Stowe family ask if it was okay with Mr. Schebler to wear number 43?
They would have had to.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Phillips had a problem with Scooter Gennett doing it, so I don't see why, Schebler should just lay over like that.
Did Phillips have a problem with Santiago Espinal?
I'm sure. Totally. Actually, all jokes aside, I really hope Brandon Phillips ends up coming back into the Reds family, and not as a coach or anything, but just as Reds Fest and that sort of stuff comes through. WTI Trader, just real quick, I see your comment. Would love a Reds Hall of Famer bobblehead. The Reds Hall of Fame does bobbleheads almost every year. There's a huge set you can do. If you have any questions, feel free. Find me on x.com and I'll send you some of the sheets that are out there floating around of all the bobbleheads I have. Before we jump off, though, I'm going to share a couple of my favorites of all time. I've talked about bobbleheads. I have all of them. But couple ones that are fun to me in the past was the Bronson Arroyo hat night with the hat and then the hair coming out of the hat. That's an all-timer. I do have one and I would put it on, but my personal hair would get in the way of the wig. Another one was the Jay Bruce cereal bowl. That's just a fun one. I wish I had my hands on one of those. Then I really do wish they did some more personal Reds, Reds players stuff, because those old time Reds fans, and Sam, you probably don't even recognize this name, Jason LaRue, former Reds catcher. They had a Jason LaRue John Deere hat night or hat day.
Nice.
It was a white Reds hat with a green and yellow Reds logo, with his signature on the side. Fantastic giveaway. I do remember that one. I was there. My dad and I were running around the stadium, and I think we got one. And it was like the last one at the gate. So fun memory there. I'm not sure where. I don't think I even have that. I have to go dig through some boxes at their house to go find it, because I'm going to add that back to my collection. But the Reds do get a lot of hate for the bobbleheads and stuff, but my daughters love some of the giveaways. We get to as many as we can. But they're just fun little topics and always spark a memory. So
absolutely
appreciate everyone again being here tonight. The Reds here will start here in about 30 minutes. Reds Padres. Let's see if the Reds can score a victory here tonight.
And it looks like the Mets will lose. So it would be 3 games back somehow. Miracle that we're still within.
It would be, if the Reds win, it would be 3 games back from the Mets. And here's what's terrible. And now I'm on a soapbox again, Sam. If the Reds would have won Friday, what would they have been going into last night's game? How many games back?
It would have been 3. 2?
Yes. They would have been 2 games back yesterday. If they could have closed out yesterday's game, what would they have been back? 1.
Then you win tonight.
You could have been tied. So
again, doing everything in their power to not get it closer.
Obviously, that's been the frustrating part. So
yep.
The Mets are putting it out there. And with the Reds, Mets, or Giants get it. I mean, and I feel bad eating my words, because I told you a few weeks ago that it was a 2-team race. So
now the Giants. We didn't even mention the Giants. So
no, the Giants are, they jumped in and they're going crazy. Just pulling it up here. Yeah, I mean, you would be tied tonight. If you would have won Friday. So it's just one of those things. And hey, that's why we love the Reds, man. But
yes,
it's always fun. Sam, sign us off here. Again, thanks everybody for watching tonight, for checking us out, and we will see you on Monday.
Go Reds.